Welcome to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. Thank you for joining me again today. I am always so thrilled that you are here with me. I'm your host, Laurel Boivin, and today we're exploring a topic that seems to be affecting so many people: uncertainty. Today's episode, Uncertainty, Variety, and Clarity, closes out our theme of courage that we've been talking about for the last several weeks. We've talked about courage to let things go, courage to make bold moves, courage to move forward despite fear and uncertainty. And today we're going to talk a little bit about courage to recognize fear when it shows up and courage to work with your fear so that it doesn't hold you back. And in wrapping up this theme, we're going to explore uncertainty and the connection between uncertainty, variety, and clarity. You know, this connection wasn't very obvious to me when I started to think about today's episode. And through the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to create the thread between all three of those things. So before we dive in, let me introduce myself. I am Laurel Boivin. I'm a life and leadership coach and one of the co-hosts of Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. My work touches on all of the topics that we talk about here in Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. You'll find more information about me and my business and how to reach me in the show notes. My podcast partner and co-host, Laurel Holland, is also a life coach, and she's an author. You'll find information about her work, and her books, and how to reach her in the show notes as well. So let's get started. Are you ready? Are you ready to talk about uncertainty, variety, and clarity? So let me ask you first, are you someone who embraces the unknown with curiosity, or does uncertainty make you uncomfortable? Most people I know, most people I work with, and even me, find uncertainty uncomfortable. We don't like uncertainty. We like predictability. We like routine. We like safety. Part of that is our nervous system and our brain trying to keep us safe. But what if, instead of fearing uncertainty, we could embrace it as a doorway to variety and ultimately more clarity in our life? If you're wondering how variety leads to clarity, let me explain. When we limit ourselves to the familiar, even if what's familiar is not making us happy, it's still comfortable. But when we limit ourselves to the comfortable, to the known, to the familiar, we're missing out on opportunities to learn and grow. We're missing out on discovering what really resonates with us and what lights us up. It might sound crazy, but the key to feeling more clear, to finding more clarity, is by bringing more variety into your life. By trying new things, whether it's a new hobby, a different route to work, a different career path, we are essentially giving ourselves more information, more data to work with. And this information, the more information we have, the easier it is to figure out what we like, what we don't like, what we're good at, what we need more practice with, what we want, and what we want to avoid. So think about variety as more information, more data, as if we're creating an experiment. And that data will lead us to clarity. So over time, this experiencing new things, it does so many things to help us find clarity. And I want you to think about it as learning to be in the newness, in the unknown, in uncertainty, in a fun way, in a curious way. And you can think about it as a process. In order to have clarity, we have to have variety. In order to have variety, we need to embrace, or at least become more comfortable with, uncertainty. Becoming comfortable with certainty means We are recognizing and learning to work with our fears. I don't know about you, but I have had plenty of opportunity over the years to work with my fears, to learn from my fears. You know, maybe it's been fear of judgment, fear of disappointing people, fear of making a mistake, fear of letting people down, fear of not meeting their expectations, or fear of not being good enough. Where does fear show up for you? And how does it show up? You know, it's pretty common that fear disguises itself. It disguises itself as something else: resistance, procrastination, indecision, overfunctioning, overachieving, overplanning, and even being overly organized or overly scheduled. All of those things really are our way of creating safety, predictability. When we are in control, we feel safe. So these behaviors, these disguises that fear wears, over time, I've seen this. They become familiar patterns or tendencies that we gravitate to. And they're patterns and tendencies that keep us stuck in the familiar, in the comfort zone. And when I'm in that place, there's not much room for change or growth. Nothing happens in a growth way, or in a way of creating change and growth, development in the comfort zone. So let's talk for a minute about how we can try new things, add variety to our life as a way of breaking these patterns and tendencies, as a way of maybe being more creative in our day-to-day life. And through this creativity, we can create clarity. And it's really by breaking the patterns and expanding our perspective, we begin to engage our brain in new ways, right? We are exercising our brain. We are learning to become more comfortable with something that may have been uncomfortable before. So I want to encourage you to try something new this week. Step out of your comfort zone. You know, it really does build resistance and it lessens our fear. Even starting something small, like taking a new route to work, or maybe eating at a new restaurant that you don't know the menu, you've never been there before. These are really small steps to introduce variety into your life. And with that, right, as we increase variety, we get to know ourselves better. We are increasing our self-awareness and sharpening our creative vision. And that helps us create clarity because we begin to know what we like, what we don't like, what we want, what we don't want, what we're good at, and what we need more practice at. So these new experiences, this variety, can shed light on opportunities that we may have overlooked or priorities that we might be neglecting. And we become more clear on our goals and our path forward when we begin to see new opportunities and maybe a new perspective on our focus and our priorities. So I want to offer you 3 tips before we wrap up. These tips, I hope, will help you work with your fear so you can overcome your fear, maybe become more comfortable with uncertainty, and create more variety and clarity in your life. The first one is write it out. Grab a journal, a piece of paper. Write what you truly want. This is where there's no filter. There's no judgment. You just write your big dreams, your big, scary dreams. And as you write it out, just let that writing go. right? Let yourself be messy. Let yourself be bold. Let yourself really believe that anything you want is possible. The second tip is to speak it aloud. When we share our dreams with someone that we trust, we're giving power to our thoughts through a voice, right? We can really anchor into our dreams when we begin to speak about our dreams. They're less scary, they're less undoable, they're less impossible when we begin to speak about them. And then the third step is to take a small step. Pick one small thing that you can do, one small, bold move that edges you closer to your dream. Maybe it's signing up for a class. Maybe it's making a phone call that you've been putting off. Maybe it's saying no to something that no longer serves you. And I hope that these tips will help you. I want to offer a few other things, just a couple journaling questions or prompts, questions that will hopefully have you reflecting, doing some inner reflection to get clear about what's holding you back. So if I were to ask, what is one fear that is holding you back? What would your answer be? You don't have to tell anybody, but just recognize, right? Start listing. I say just one, but I know myself, I have a few. Maybe you do too. So what is one fear that's holding you back? And then what is one small step you can take to lessen that fear and remove that fear as an obstacle? I like to think about fear as a messenger. And so as you navigate the week ahead, maybe this will help. When fear shows up for me, I often like to greet it as if it's a long lost friend, an old friend. And I sometimes speak these words out loud. I say, "Hello, fear, my old friend. What do you have to teach me today?" So what would it feel like? What would it look like if you began to address your fear as a friend? Fear is often a sign that we're on the right path, that we are moving forward in an opportunity to grow. So be gentle on yourself. Take small steps and trust that adding more variety in your life will result in clarity. That's what I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me on this exploration of uncertainty, variety, and clarity. I hope our conversation inspires you to continue doing your inner work with courage and curiosity to create a life, a beautiful life that you want to live. Until next time, I'm Laurel Boivin, encouraging you to embrace inner work as the path to your beautiful life. If you enjoy Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life podcast, it would mean the world to us if you would leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners just like you, who are doing inner work and creating their beautiful life. See you soon. Bye for now.